Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know what to film for this week, and then I kind of just looked over my channel, saw what I haven't posted in a while, and I was like, you know what, it would be cool to do like a updates for the beginning of the year, and then, you know, kind of compare towards the end of the year to see what has sort of changed and shifted. I guess that I could do that with like my houseplant tour and stuff too, but I think it'd be a lot cooler to sort of see it in like a winter aspect, I guess, because last winter I struggled with a lot of my plants, you guys. Like most, if not all of my plants were really small and just had root rot, and it was just like a whole thing. I didn't have enough light, and now this winter I feel like I've really grown into my shoes, and I've really kind of realized like what my plants really need, and I've kind of provided that like the best that I can, obviously. So I feel really good about where my plants are right now, and just like I just have some exciting updates. Oh my god, I just saw one and I'm just like getting hyped now. Yeah, let's just get right into it because there's a lot to update on, including my whole space revamp. So yeah, let's just get right into it. All right, so here are my plant shelves. I actually switched it around. So this used to be right over here. Now it is in this corner, which I kind of just did because I wanted it to be like a focal point. My door is right over here, so as soon as you walk in, this is the first thing that you see, and it is just like really magical. Ignore this wire right here. I'm gonna try and get the like extension ones to like put it through the bottom and kind of feed it through the top, figure something out for it, because I just am not, I don't like that wire. It's very it's like you have this nice picture-esque look of like your plants and everything, and then there's just a random wire going straight through, so ignore that. But I feel like honestly this shelf is like at its prime right now. This is like the most that I have felt really inspired with this space. And if you watched my last video, I'll pop it in right now. In that video I talked a little bit more about my 2024 goals, and in that video I was talking about like designing my space and just like curating something that made me really happy. And I feel like I actually, like right after that video, I literally just reorganized all my plants and like did all my plant care and stuff. So it was just a perfect time to kind of reorganize, reset myself for the year, and I'm so glad I did, because honestly this is like the most that I have enjoyed this space. I feel like it's just like the tall things in the back, and then like this kind of like drags your eye down, and then you just get like this nice, like, I don't know how to explain it, like things are just like at a certain height, and it just like all kind of looks really cohesive. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like biased right now, but that's just how I've been feeling about these plants. And I'm finally happy that I found a spot for this, because this thing grows, this is Acis quadrangularis, by the way. It grows so weird to the point where I'm just like, how do I even like decorate with you? Where do I even put you? It's in this cute little pot by Clay. I love her stuff, you guys. She's recently been coming out with some really cool things, and yeah, I really love this pot. I love how many colors it has and just how cute it is. I don't know, it's one of my favorite pots. And yeah, have I showed you guys this already? I'm pretty sure I have. This is like a Benji plant inspired design. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep it this way, but I'm not sure that I really have a choice anymore, since kind of stuck it in there and now it's just in there. But 2 videos ago now, you guys would have seen me make like a little carnivorous plant bog, and I did separate them, not because they weren't like compatible with their care, like I wasn't really noticing any issues with that, honestly, but because of the fact that it already felt really cramped. It kind of felt like there was no room to grow. Like if anything moved or sized up just like by a centimeter, it was like that thing was gonna be way too difficult to manage and take care of, and it was just gonna turn into something overwhelming. So I did separate them. I have both of my sundews in here, and then I have one of my bigger pinguiculas, this one right here, whoops, this one right there. And then I had 2. In that video, you guys would have seen me separate them into 2. And then with the second one that I separated, I turned it into multiple. So I have another one over here, and then there is another small little piece down here, which I'm planning on selling those just because I don't feel the need to keep this many pinguicula, especially of the same one. Like, I just don't really see interest in that, I guess. I know I said in that video that the bladderwort was doing pretty bad. Honestly, it's kind of already like getting itself together a little bit. Like I don't know, I can already tell that it is kind of a little bit happier in here. Like, I put some in both so you guys can see those little white hairs back there, and even right there, that's also the bladderwort. And yeah, I just feel I feel really good about where these plants are at now, and I feel like I'm really giving them the space to kind of thrive. And I don't know, I just love how this looks. Like, I feel like it really, the soil mixture, I guess, kind of mimics nature in a way, because of like all of this little perlite, the moss, the different like texture, the little like bladderwort kind of reminds me of like liverwort a little bit, and then like the moss growing in. Like, it's just such a vibe, and I freaking love it so much, you guys. And I really tried to keep that same theme throughout like both of them. So this one still has some like moss in there, and like just like that bladderwort as well, and those little decorations. The decorations in this one, I will say, are not as good as the one in that one. Like, I really love frogs, and so that frog is just like my whole, I love that so much. Like, especially like, I didn't even realize that until just now, honestly, that like you come in and you just look straight at the frog. It's just so cute. But yeah, I really enjoy these now, and I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited to experience their growth. I know sundews and pinguicula grow like freaking crazy, so I have full like trust that those will go bonkers in the summer, or even now, to be honest, because I did move this one up closer to the light. It's about like my hand. So I feel like that one is gonna really start to flourish a little bit. We'll see. And then back here, I just have some propagations. I've really been trying to cut down on my propagating, if I'm being honest. I got rid of my like prop tower thing that I used to have. If you've been a watcher for a while, you know what I'm talking about. And then I kind of just stuck everything in here because I was just kind of tired of it. Like, it was just way too much, way too many propagations to keep track of. So now I have like a few cups here and there full of like propagations, and most of my propagations are actually in my like little IKEA tent in there. So I tried to kind of keep it down to a minimum, because I find that like styling with propagations, or like designing with them, like if I were to fill this up with propagations, it's a lot more difficult because the plants themselves don't really look their best. Like, even this Tradescantia right now, it's like got this weird stuff going on. It doesn't look its best, but I feel like with that one is a little bit easier just because it's grown into its propagation, and so it has like vines that are kind of facing a certain way or look a certain way, compared to like if I were to just take a propagation and stick it in water, it's gonna look a little bit iffy for a while, and I just don't enjoy the look, especially when I'm trying to focus on like enjoying my space a little bit more. I would just prefer to kind of tuck them away and hide them. So this has also been a really good trick for that. I have some solanum in there. You guys can kind of see it. That propagation I took like at the beginning of winter, I think, and it's just been on a struggle bus since then. I don't know. Normally I don't have any issues propagating solanum, but with that one, like, you guys can like barely hear. Actually, I think I can take this off. You guys can see there, it's just now starting to like grow out, and I'm pretty sure it's only because of the humidity that it's really doing that. I also have a Pallidiflorum little piece in there, and then I have a little Frydek in there, and then in the back, oh wait, I also forgot about that. I have a Selenginella, I think they're called, like a peacock fern. You can kind of see it underneath the Frydek there. And then I have a mimosa plant, which is a friend's. I also took a propagation of my Brazilian rain tree, which is this, to try and see if I could sort of, be successful with that, but I'm not sure that it's going too well. It's honestly just kind of an experiment to see if like the humidity will help at all, because like I've propagated Brazilian rain tree outside of like a humidity dome and stuff like that, but like I guess I'm not taking this one as seriously because it was like a piece on the Brazilian rain tree that I just didn't like how it was growing, so I chopped it off. So if this doesn't end up being successful, that's fine. I'll just repropagate it in the summer, where I feel like I'll have a little bit more of the conditions that it likes. But yeah, that's just a little experiment right now to see how it's going and what it'll do. And here we have my seedlings, which I love so much. If you guys watched my plant goals video, you guys would have seen this leaf. I'll try and see if I got a good like view on it. I think I actually took some b-roll, maybe I'll insert that, but this leaf sized up so much, and I don't know, I just love my little seedlings, honestly. They make me really happy, and I feel like I'm like so excited to see what they turn into. Yeah, also I wanted to show you guys this one. I know you can like barely see it. By the way, this is a Doc Block F2 crossed with a Tazula Red Crystal crossed with a Carla Blackier crossed with a Pappy F2, and I feel like that red crystal is so strong. Like there is like a very slight tinge of red in the like central vein, and it is just like making me really excited to see this cross. And I'll pop in the parents of both of these. I know what they look like I see it in the pictures, but I'm just like, it's hard for me to like put them together because I'm just like, how is this gonna look? Like, I don't know, I'm still like kind of shocked a little bit. And it's also crazy to me how like bolate this is, I guess. Not like crazy bolate, but there's definitely some puffiness there, which is really cool to see. Overall, I'm just really excited to see these two size up and grow. And yeah, this plant here, this is a snowbush. I'll pop in the scientific name, and I don't know what to do to make this thing happy. I feel like it hasn't grown, and every time like I look at it, I swear it just looks more like yellow and like chlorotic and just like weird. I don't know if there's like over fertilization happening or what, because I mean I do fertilize this, and I have tried putting this in low light. I feel like it just makes it worse. I don't know what to really do with it, so I've just kind of stuck it here. I do really like the leaves on these, and I'm gonna be honest, I rarely see anything on these, at least on my feed, and that could just be the people that I'm following. The only person that I've seen really post about a snowbush or like, you know, share a picture of their snowbush is Boomerang, which I'll pop in her picture. I love her content, honestly. Her picture aesthetic and just like filter, I guess, that she uses is really nice. I'm excited to see this grow up because I know that when they get bigger, at least with hers, I've definitely noticed it, is they get like red stems, and then like it just like is such an accent to the leaf. I don't know, they're like whole growth pattern changes when they get bigger. But yeah, that is the top shelf right now, and honestly, this top shelf, I feel like I haven't really changed my care. Obviously in winter there's a lot less watering going on just because there's less heat and humidity and like less heat in general to sort of get the water in the soil to sort of dissipate. So it has been a little bit slower in that sense, which I appreciate, but I'm not gonna lie, it's made me a little bit scared for the winter or for the summer. I just don't know how much I'm gonna be watering, to be honest. I'm not trying to be watering like every day because that's just gonna be too hectic, but you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I also need to get some like better pots for these because this one's a pretty good size for it, but I feel like this one, it's gonna outgrow it super quickly. I definitely want to be on the hunt for some better, oh my god, can I speak? I definitely want to be on the hunt for some bigger pots for these two. My original plan when I repotted them into this soil mix was to repot this one into like a bigger cup and then repot this one into there. I think this one had I think this one had a pretty good root system to where I felt confident moving it up, but this one, I don't think it, like in my personal opinion, I just didn't feel comfortable moving that into such a big pot when it already didn't really have a lot of roots. But I have been seeing, let me see if I can find them. There was some, yeah, they're right there. There was some pretty good roots coming in, so I feel like by the time, hopefully, that it's ready to be moved, I'll have a pot. And down here, honestly, I really like where this is at. I feel like with this bottom part of my shelf, I definitely struggled with either being too crowded or just not having enough plants or just having too much empty space where it just felt kind of like weird and like undone a little bit. But right now I feel really happy with everything that's in here, with like the way that it's organized, and it just kind of like sweeps your eye downward, and it just like, I love it so much. My Pilotoflorum, I think the last time you guys would have seen this leaf, it was like barely starting to harden off. This isn't completely hardened off. It's a pretty long boy. It's probably the same size as this Barino right now. Maybe a little bit bigger actually, but yeah, it's also starting to shoot out a new leaf right there. This one I've also done that thing where, similar to Charmaine from Unplanned Parenthood, one of her friends shared how he takes care of his anthurium, and he kind of takes care of his anthurium by sizing them up into like a not ridiculously large, but like like out of my comfort zone large. And so I did try that somewhat with this anthurium, and honestly, it's been really successful. There's some roots right there. I have a lot of roots. There's one up here. You can kind of see it there. It's honestly been really nice, and I feel like for like the summer and stuff, it'll be really, really good, because this anthurium, it was the winter, and it was like in a little, like, I want to say it was like a 24-ounce solo cup, like a little clear one. It was drying out so freaking fast, and that was in like the beginning of winter. And so that's when I decided, or I wouldn't say the beginning, maybe like the middle-ish, and then I decided to pot it up into this, and it's been perfectly okay. I do not let this dry out. Like, I know it's like, for me as an overwaterer, I felt really, really uncomfortable with that, like really uncomfortable, just like, it's not dry, but I'm gonna put more water in it. That's exactly how I water this, and it's been really, really nice, and it's been loving life. It's been the fastest grower that it's ever been in my collection, and I don't want to jinx myself, I haven't been like losing leaves as much on this, which with other anthuriums I can't say the same for. Like with my wavy no ID, I take care of it the same way that I take care of this one, and I do lose leaves on it, but with this one, like, I think that I'm just now starting to get some yellowing right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. But otherwise, like, other than that, it's honestly been really, really good at keeping its leaves, because I feel like if this was my wavy no ID, I feel like I'd already have a crispy, you know, start on this last leaf, which this is the smallest, or the oldest leaf on it. Oh my god, this is the oldest leaf on it. So yeah, that makes me like really, really happy. It makes me feel like really confident in my care routine, and yeah, I'm just really excited to see where this goes. And I also didn't include this one on my planty goals for 2024. I don't know why, honestly, but I did record a snippet of it, like including it on my list, but then I was like, you know what, it just feels ingenuine to put it on my list, so I just scrapped that footage. But I think in some ways I do have a goal for this, but I'm just like, I don't feel like it's a direct goal. I just kind of enjoy how it's growing, and I want it to continue growing that way. So yeah, there's my little thing on that. And then my Jose Bono, which I'm not gonna lie, I have been sort of tossing around the idea of getting rid of it, but I don't know, something in me just won't let me do it. It's not that I don't enjoy this plant, like I do, but I just feel like maybe it's because I've struggled with it so much that I'm just kind of like over it a little bit. Like, I just, like, it's not a difficult plant, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's been in propagation and out of propagation and back into propagation so many times that I'm kind of just a little bit over it. And don't, like, if you are wanting a Jose Bono, do not let this like fool you. Like, it is such an easy plant. It is such a beautiful plant. It really, like, if you are wanting like a Thai constellation or an albo or like an alocasia variegated frydek, this will like somewhat give you what you're asking for. The variegation is very, very beautiful. It comes in like really, really white, like I would say a little bit whiter than this. This is definitely a little bit greener than usual. And then depending on your lighting situation, it'll like harden off to this, or like you guys see this one's a lot whiter and lighter, or it'll like give you like minty bits like this that are really speckly. It's a really, really easy plant. Like, I would recommend this to anyone and everyone, but I just don't know what it is with me. Like, I just am kind of like falling, I don't want to say that I'm falling out of love with it, but I just don't know. I just don't know. That's all I gotta say. And my Stephania suberosa has also started to flourish a little bit, which I'm really excited about. I don't know, I feel a lot more confident with my care on this one now that I've had a growing season to kind of understand it a little bit. I'm really hoping that this year I can get leaves that aren't like sun bleached, and it's why I kind of tried to back it up a little bit. I still feel like this is not enough, so maybe I might move that, but I really, really enjoy where it is. I love its pot also, you guys. It's crazy because when I first got that pot, I was like, oh, I'll just get it in case, like, if I need anything, or like if anything needs a pot, like I'll just have that there. It wasn't like my favorite thing in the world, but now like pairing it up, oh my god, I'm sorry you guys, this cable is really annoying. Now pairing it up with the Stephania suberosa, I just love it so much. Like, I love the blue. It's just, I love it. I love that pairing so much, and it's very unexpected. Down here I have, I don't know if you guys remember, I got a anthurium from Houseplant Care a while ago, and it took 2 weeks to get to me. Again, that was in no one's control. I do not blame Russo whatsoever, and I have had 0 issues with Russo, like specific to their business. Honestly, UPS, that's another story. Or not UPS. USPS, that's another story. I got beef with you, okay? Because this plant was 2 weeks in the mail. It went to Guam, it went to Hawaii, and I was like, where in the world are they taking my plant? Like, what is going on? But yeah, it came to me. It was honestly very like surprising to see how like good it held up. I did have to reroot it in water, which is perfectly okay. Like, I don't blame Russo, like I am perfectly okay with that. And for a second I was like, oh, like this is gonna be a struggle, because when I tried to propagate my Pallidiflorum in water, it only rooted on the parts that were like new tissue or like new nodes. And so I was just like praying and, you know, hoping. But recently, hold on, I want to set this down. Recently, you guys can see there is some amazing root system or roots coming out, and it just makes me so excited. And if you guys haven't seen already, there is a little new leaf coming in, which I'm so excited. This is a, I was about to say a mag. This is a oh my god, what is the name? A Pappy crust with a Lux. So I am very, very excited for this. And it does kind of have some light bleaching, which I know Charmaine has also sort of mentioned this too. I believe Alice from You Don't Even Grow Here has also mentioned it, that Pappy really like should not have highlight, because they will sort of do this, they won't really like form in their true colors. And so that's why this one's kind of tucked behind there, and it's been doing really, really great, surprisingly. Like, I was kind of scared to give it less light, because with anthuriums they do like a little bit more of a moist soil, and so putting it in low light and also having a moist soil isn't the perfect condition for that. Like, if in my head that would mean rot like immediately, but honestly it's been doing really, really well, and I'm super excited for this new leaf. Yeah, I really do enjoy this plant, and I am like so excited to see where this gets to as well. This is another plant that I kind of wanted to feature on my plant goals for 2024, but again, it just felt ingenuine too. And this is like on the same boat with the Pallidiflorum, where like I don't have a specific goal for this. Like, I don't get me wrong, I'd love to see this sized up, but I guess like just in general seeing this get bigger and better and more like be a more established plant, I guess would be where I'd go with it. I also didn't want to include too many anthuriums in that, because then it'd just be like a anthurium goal video, you know? So I just tried to sort of mix things up and not be so like strict to a certain genus or whatever. Down here we have this begonia, which you guys have seen her, you heard of her. She, oh my god, she has just been going off, you guys. Like, this plant is getting so massive. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to size it up again pretty soon. But I've just been leaving it be. I really, really love it. You guys already know how I feel about this begonia. If you're wondering what it is, the closest idea I could give you to it is the Begonia Rex Femme. I'm not completely positive that that's a correct idea of it, but it's what I could put it closest to, I guess. And then I have this begonia, which has not been doing great. It has a lot of powdery mildew, and it's just kind of not looking so hot. Like, if I show you this back stem, yeah, so we're just gonna move past that. Down there I have my old Choco, which is rootless again. I'm honestly on the verge of giving that plant away, because I am just kind of sick of it. Like, I'm sick of having to deal with how annoying this plant is. I've rooted it in water twice. Each time, actually I think 3 times, if I'm correct. I moved it, yeah, 3 times. Two or 3 times. Yeah, no, 3 times, I think. Hold on. Let me explain. So I put it in water after it got root rot, rooted it up, moved it to pond, didn't like pond, rotted, so I put it back in water, and then I was like, okay, maybe my pond just needs to be a little bit more airy, so I put it back into pond with a lot of perlite. It was really chunky, a lot of leca, all of that. Rotted again, put it back in water. after like having it in water for a long time, like I wanted to make sure it was really, really rooted. I moved it into like a sphagnum perlite mix, rotted in there. I thought I was doing okay, and then it just rotted out of nowhere. And so now we're here. I chopped off all the dead roots. I put it in like my soil mix. I was like, you know what? If this doesn't work, you guys, I'm done. Like, I do not want to deal with the El Choco Red. It is a beautiful plant, and it is always a plant that I can appreciate. And I really do want it in my collection because of how vigorous it is. And I'm happy with the experience that I have with it. Like, when it was an established plant somewhat, and when it was actually growing and stuff, like, I felt really, really good about it. But now, I don't have the patience to deal with a plant that is just gonna give me hell, because I just would rather not. And I have the Splendid, like there's so many different velvet anthuriums that I can go to over this one. Obviously it's not gonna be the same like punch, like it's not gonna be the same plant, but I'm okay with that. I'd rather have a plant that I can actually appreciate and grow rather than a plant that's just going to consistently go downhill for me, I guess. And then my Hoya caudata, which I recently potted up into soil in no drainage. If you guys would have seen my plant goals video, this was also in there, and I am just so excited to, I don't know, I just love this plant so much, and I didn't think I would. Like, for when I first got it, I kind of struggled to see it in like in a like design aspect, I guess. Like, I didn't know what pot it was going to be in. I didn't know how I wanted to sort of display it in my collection. And yeah, just like, look at this. Like, I just love it so much. And if you guys have not gotten the chance to feel or like see one of these in person, especially with the emerging leaves, you guys, the emerging leaves are so beautiful. Like, I know I don't have a picture anymore. I think I might have one on my Instagram that I could pull from, but it is just beyond, like, it is like a begonia mixed with an anthurium. Like, they are just so like purpley red, and it just like has so much like oil slicks type of vibe. If you get the same like characteristic from anthuriums, you know exactly what I mean. It has just like a really beautiful emergent leaf, and also there's a really nice texture on the newer leaves. Like, this one kind of has it. Maybe you can see it. You can kind of see it has a little bit of a fuzz, which I freaking adore. Like, I love that so much. But yeah, and then also a new plant that you guys haven't seen is this lipstick plant. It's called the lipstick Antares, I believe. I'll pop it in the screen. And I have always eyeballed this lipstick plant. I don't have any lipstick plants whatsoever in my collection, but with this one at my old job, we had like, I want to say like 4 of them, and it was always like something that I was eyeing. And now I have it in my collection, and you guys can see it did have these flowers before, and it is just so beautiful, you guys. Like, look at that red, just powerful orangey. Like, I love it so much. But I don't know how this plant really fits into my collection, to be honest. I kind of feel the same as like I did with my caudata when I first got it. With that one, like currently, I'm kind of just like, how am I gonna display you? Like, what are you gonna grow into? Yeah, because it doesn't vine down like Hoyas do. It kind of just like stays like a stalk, and it just like goes upward. So I guess we'll see where that one goes. Yeah, this is my lower shelf. Now, talking about down here, I have not a lot of plants, to be honest. I wasn't even actually planning on putting plants down here. I was trying my best not to, but it just kind of happened that way. Like, I had an extra Barina, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. It'll just be like a little moment of its own. And I have this Micans, which honestly I've been waiting for this thing to shoot out. Oh, it actually is okay. I've been waiting for this thing to shoot out roots, and you can kind of see it started to there. It's kind of a struggle because it's lower on my shelf, so it's not getting as much like heat and things, so it's definitely a little bit like of a struggle to get it to actually want to root up and like root outward. But yeah, that's where that one's at. I also have my Gigas back here, which from what I can tell is doing pretty okay. And I don't know if you guys can see back there, that is my Syningia leucotricha. I chopped it down. Honestly, I just wasn't enjoying the new, like, the leaves that were there. And I don't know if you can kind of see them. Hold on, I'm gonna try and get in a bit closer here. there's like little specks of green coming out. So I was just kind of like, you know what, if it's like pushing out new growth, I'm just gonna chop off this leaf and, you know, hope that that new growth is a little bit better. So that's where that one's at. My Brazilian rain tree, beautiful as always. I really like this plant down here, just because when I'm looking downward, because mind you, this is like waist level, so when I'm looking downward, you just see like that beautiful like splay of the leaves, and it's just really pretty. And then that begonia, I don't even want to talk about it. Honestly, let's move on. In here, I have a lot of propagations going on. This is a bottom cut of my Wavy No ID. Oh god, is it touching the side? Yeah, this is for a friend, and I am falling in love with it. Like, look at that red margin. It is just so pretty. And then in here, again, like I said before, I have most of my propagations. So I have like a begonia in here, my epipremnum, my Burl Marks Fantasy, and then this is another cutting for a friend, and this is also a friend's. And so I just kind of have a lot of things that are rehabbing or propagating in here. I have my variegated heteroecium, which has been rooting up in there, my Alocasia aslanii, which has actually popped out a new leaf. I don't know if you guys remember this from like a year ago now. I do still have it. It is still sort of growing. Been in a little bit of a rehab state for a while. It died off and I got stuck with a corm, and so I have been sprouting that corm, growing out that corm for a while now, and that is what it's grown into. I also have this little Palea Moon Valley down here, which is flowering. It looks so freaking pretty. I love that. And then, oh yeah, do you guys remember my maidenhair fern? She has come back to life little by little, and I actually am probably going to chop off this leaf pretty soon. I've kind of just been leaving it on here so that it can take what it needs from this, you know, singular leaf. But yeah, everything else is coming back really amazingly. I'm not gonna lie, I was so close to chucking this in the garbage because I was just tired of it, and I'm glad I didn't. I really am glad I didn't. I honestly really love the little fronds of this, like the more immature fronds. Really beautiful plant, love it, and I'm happy about that. Also, I don't know if you guys remember this plant. This is a terrarium plant that I got a while ago now, and I propagated it because I just wasn't enjoying the way that the leaves were growing, and now it's just taken its sweet time to root up. Maybe I'll actually put it in the cloche with my like solanum and stuff. Maybe it'll do better in there, but that's just where that one is at. I know it's a terrarium plant, and I've seen people use it in terrariums, so I don't doubt that the high humidity will sort of help it grow a little bit better and root up faster as well. That's pretty much everything in here. Up here I have a gigas and a white wizard cutting, which the white wizard is actually rooting up pretty good. I had both of these in like a humidity dome in here as well, and it seemed to really love it. You guys can see that long root there. That's the most that this plant has ever rooted up for me. You guys, like every single time I've tried to root this up, it's just been a constant battle of like, it would throw out these like itty bitty little roots, and then I'd flush out the water, and then every time I changed out the water, it just would stop growing the roots. So yeah, just been leaving it the heck alone. And I also just want to show you guys that I moved the placement of this. It is up near my mirror, which is where this used to be. It is now on my desk. I did all of this after that video as well. Like, I promise you guys, like, I really want to make an effort to make my space my happy place. And not that it isn't right now, because I definitely do enjoy my room and my vibe in here, but I just feel like there's some things that can be improved upon. And yeah, starting up here, I absolutely adore this space, you guys. This is like one of my all-time favorite spaces in my collection, in my entire space and time within this hobby. I absolutely love this space, and this is what I want for every other space in my room right now. Like I want every plant space to feel this way. And I don't know if you guys, like, I don't know if that resonates with you guys. Like, I don't know if you guys feel what I feel when I look at this, but I just really freaking love it. Like, I really do freaking love this. And it is just like the most magical thing. And I think that what I can like pair it with is, first of all, this Florida Beauty is freaking astonishing. Like, look at this newest leaf. Look at the variegation on that. It is just so freaking beautiful. And then like this dark, deep contrasting solanum that just like flows completely downward, does not grow the same as this Florida Beauty whatsoever. It's just kind of free, and like you just kind of have like a more structured like splay of like leaves, and then like the pole, it's just a lot more structured back there compared to like this, which just kind of has like all of this space to kind of steal your heart. And then look at this, like, oh my goodness, I love this plant. If I could share this plant with everyone in the world, I would, because it is so beautiful. Like, so beautiful and so freaking easy, you guys. Like, so freaking easy. Like, if I want to emphasize that this is a terrarium plant. If you don't know that, do not let that intimidate you whatsoever, okay? Like, this is so easy. You guys can see how chunky my mix is. I do have it in no drainage, which I've grown it both without drainage and with drainage now, and you guys can see it does not care. Like, this thing roots up so ridiculously. It like fills itself back in. Let's move on. Yeah, so up here, my Florida Beauty is growing consistently, you guys. Consistently. And it's kind of ridiculous, if I'm being honest. I thought that this thing was gonna struggle. I thought that like the winter was gonna bring it down. Heck freaking no, you guys. This plant did not care. It's actually sized up the most that it has ever in winter. This is the last leaf it gave me. Before this, there was a completely white leaf, which was around the same size, maybe a little bit smaller, and then this is the leaf after that. You guys can just see the size up, and it is so I love this plant. And it was a birthday gift, so it just like has such a place in my heart that I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I love it so much. All right, and then back here I do have my little blue person and my variegated Maranta. I'm sorry, I know it kind of looks a little bit crowded. It's not crazy crowded, but I know that that doesn't really go through on camera either. What is going on? Why is this thing yellowing? But that's her. She's just growing along, tootin'. Like, that plant hasn't stopped either. Now, this plant I did want to show you guys. This plant has been a struggle for me recently, and all through like winter it's kind of just been unhappy a little bit. This is my Wavy No ID from Houseplant Care. It's an anthurium, and it had a leaf. I'm not sure if I ever like showed it to you guys or mentioned it, but it had another leaf that was here, and it just wasn't unfurling. It wasn't doing anything. It was just kind of warped, and it like had the feeling, it had the like texture and the thickness, well, maybe not the thickness, but it had the same texture as this, as like a fully hardened off leaf, but then the color on it wasn't hardened off, and then it was like all like warped, like the veining was really warped. And so I was like, I just don't know what's going on with that. So I chopped it off, and right after I chopped it off, here came this. I just like appreciate that so much, because this plant for a long time was a favorite of mine. Like, it was one of my all-time favorite plants. It still is, don't get me wrong, but like just seeing it fall so quickly kind of just like struck me a little bit. Like, I was like, what the heck is going on? And now I'm hoping that this new leaf is a sign of something, that it's going to improve and it's just going to be a lot better. I also mentioned this plant in my planty goals, which I actually repotted it yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. And it isn't doing the best, but it's also not doing the worst. Some pieces are rooted, some pieces aren't. So I just kind of repotted it, got it in a little bit of a better situation, and let this air out a little bit too, because the key to propagating these is to not keep this mix of like perlite and pon too wet. And so I really kind of forgot about that, if I'm being honest, and one day I just watered it through and it was just way too much moisture, and I could tell that the roots were just not happy about it. There was even some like little strands that were kind of drying out and like going wrinkly, and so I just tossed those. And now I'm hoping that I've kind of set it up a little bit better for propagating it and stuff. And this is a piece of that lipstick plant, which I am planning on giving to my boyfriend's mom. By the way, you guys, I got that lipstick plant for like a good steal. Like it was like, I want to say it was like $6, I think. So I just decided to sort of propagate it because it was just a little bit too big for my space. And so I am happy to like sort of be able to share it as well. All right, and down here, hold on, let me just turn this a little bit so we got a little bit more of a view. Down here, I'm not gonna lie, I would say that this is the area that one of the areas that I least enjoy in my plant space, like of my plant spaces. That would definitely top this for, you know, a good, like it would definitely top this. But I do give that a little bit of slack just because it is a lot of propagation, and I just try to ease like the design aspect in there a little bit. There's definitely things I could improve on, but right now I'm just kind of not focusing on that. There's also like, I have a lot more room now that I did redecorate, and so I'm kind of just leaving those empty spaces, not to be filled in, but just to be empty, because I would much rather have a like uncluttered area. Like this area down here, I definitely tried to leave a little bit more of empty spaces. I will say like the Micans and the Gigas are a little bit close for my comfort, but for now that's just gonna have to do until, you know, it starts to heat up a little bit more, and then the Gigas can kind of move somewhere. I might even put it in here. But yeah, hopefully that kind of resonates. You guys kind of get what I'm saying. Like I just don't like how this looks. It looks very like unfinished. Don't get me wrong, there's things about it that I do enjoy, like the crystallinum and the splendid, but then I guess I kind of just don't like how like this doesn't like bring your eye down as easily. Like you can't really see the Hoya back there. This Maranta I just kind of shoved in there because it's been needing light, and you know, I had the space in there. Like if not, this would literally be empty. Okay, I'm actually just gonna take stuff out and show you guys it, because there is some things that I want to update you guys on, but also just like recording in there is a little bit of a complicated thing to try and do because of the way that it's facing and just like stuff like that. So I'm just gonna pull things out and show you guys how these things have been doing. You know what, let's start with this one. This is my Hoya obovata. I was about to say caudata again. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I have been struggling with this Hoya, and even when I first got it, I think I actually talked about this too, how I don't really understand how to take care of this yet. And a lot of you guys were kind of saying that yours is very, very slow growing as well. And I think I've cracked the code. Let's take a quick pause from the Hoya. I have been very, very surprised this year by a lot of things. Like the way that I care for my anthuriums is completely out of whack to how I would actually care for my other houseplants. And even taking that and applying it to things like my Marantas, or even in some cases like my philodendron, it is actually crazy how like, I don't know, like my mind has just been blown continuously this year. And like I say that because anthuriums, for a while I was like, oh, like they just dry out like any other houseplant, and at one point that's how I was taking care of my Pallidiflorum. And then it like this year I've just kind of learned the opposite. Like you do not want to let them dry out. You want to give them like consistent, you know, water, and in some cases you want to even give them low light, which just like comprehending that and like internalizing that, I was just like, what the heck is going on? Like what? Like I don't understand this. Like everything I know about growing plants has just kind of been flipped around. Not for every single plant obviously, but for like anthuriums and Hoyas, which is very surprising. So if you are struggling with a slow growing Hoya, trust me, you are not giving it enough water. And that doesn't mean like go drench it in water, go like completely saturate the substrate, because then you're just gonna overwater it and it's gonna be too much. But I have recognized that Hoyas do like a consistently moist substrate. So I have like a little like milliliter dropper, and whenever I'm watering, like I think the other day I actually dunked this in in the water because it was kind of getting way too dry, and the dropper just wasn't going to do it. But I do not let this dry out, which I know is very surprising for Hoyas. You kind of hear the opposite, unless it's like the Bella or the Linearis or some like small leaved Hoyas. Like it kind of makes more sense for those. But with this, like it has like paddly leaves, you guys. Like this thing is like thicker than a credit card, and it's like just stiff. When I first saw this plant, I did not understand that. And they also tell you, like whenever I heard about like Hoya care or whatever, it was always like, oh, like squeeze the leaves, and if they're like squishy, or if they're like not squishy, but if they're like less rigid, it needs water. And during the summer, like when I first got this, I was struggling with that a lot. Like I felt like my leaves were always like squishy, like they were never this like stiff. Like I can't even bend this right now, and if I like push any harder than I am right now, it's probably gonna snap. So that's where I've taken things from. I want to add this too, don't be scared to experiment, because the only way that I found this out was by experimenting. I was like, you know what if I just like put a little bit of extra moisture in there, maybe it'll, you know, keep the leaf rigid and, you know, keep this consistently growing. And it did help a lot, you guys. Like this shot out soon after, which you guys know I've been struggling to get like normal looking leaves. My leaves were always like really warped and just not looking great. Look at this beauty. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this plant, you guys. And it has two, so it has two, every like node on Hoyas, because I don't even know what they're called, but I'm pretty sure it's still considered a node, but every node on a Hoya should have two leaves coming off of it. And so with the like last two, like this was the first leaf that I got on it, which was pretty round but still kind of warped. And the leaf on this one, like the other leaf, which would have been on this side right here where there's no leaf, got knocked off, or just like dried up, got knocked off. And then the next like node, it has these two like really warped, kind of weird looking Hoya leaves. And now I've kind of kept both of the leaves while also getting those really pretty like paddly shaped leaves, you guys. I love this plant so much. And mind you, while it's also been throwing out this top growth, it also shot out another secondary growth. So there's a growth right here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but there's a new leaf right here. I'm literally touching it. This one is also not completely hardened off. This is a new leaf as well. And that one did have two, and then I let it dry out a little bit too much, and then the second leaf got knocked off. So if you're taking anything from this, give your Hoyas a little bit more water, and they should do okay with that. Like don't be scared to experiment and give them a little bit more water, because I'm also seeing a lot more root growth. Like there's one, oh sorry, I touched the mic. There's one on my finger right now. I don't know if I'll be able to capture that. And then there's another one back here. Like Hoyas are thirsty plants, and that was a big surprise to me because this was my first Hoya as well, so I never really understood how to take care of them. But honestly, through experimenting, and if you're ever gonna like experiment with like keeping a soil more moist, you wanna you wanna weigh more towards being like lighter with your watering than being heavier with your watering, which is what I did with this by like experimenting. And if you're used to taking care of your Hoya in that way and like letting it dry out and like squeezing the leaves or whatever, be very, very careful. Like be very, very light on your watering if you're gonna try and keep it a little bit more moist. And again, like I literally just take a dropper and just kind of sprinkle it everywhere, and whatever it soaks up is whatever it soaks up. And I don't think I've ever let this completely dry out since then. And trust me, the Hoya will tell you, like whether it's through these like weird looking leaves or whether it's through dropping its leaves from like its pear or whatever it may be, just be careful with your watering. And yeah, I want to kind of like clarify this a little bit. Be careful with your watering, but also be confident enough to experiment. Like if you are wanting to see like, oh, does this plant enjoy a little bit more moisture? Be like confident within yourself to take that on and try that, but also just be cautious, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this is definitely one that I wanted to show you guys because I am so happy about this one. Like, oh my goodness, I absolutely love it. And I am so happy. I actually am thinking about propagating it just because it's growing a little bit weird right now. I think it might just be because it doesn't have a trellis as well, but overall this is like, oh, I think if I were to trellis any Hoya, this would be the only one in my collection right now that I would want to trellis. And if you guys don't have one, honestly, I've been seeing them become a lot more available for a while there. They weren't really available in my area, but now I'm seeing them, you know, be really available. Oh my god, you guys, I'm obsessed with this leaf. I don't think there's anything really else I want to update you guys on like crazy. Like there's this one, of course, which I did want to just show you guys again. I love this plant so much, and it's been very, very stagnant for a while. And another thing with anthuriums is I've been very weary about using drainage-less with them. This was a big like move for me. Like this was also something that I sort of experimented with, which I'm really happy. Like I'm happy that I have the confidence to sort of want to experiment now. It's just been a long time for me to actually feel confident in like experimenting with my plant care. And honestly, the way that sort of started is like noticing that my plants aren't doing that great and that they could be doing better. For example, like with the Hoya, like noticing that the leaves always felt sort of flimsy and they didn't have rigidity. And if you guys just want another showcase of that, like I cannot even make this move. If I put any more pressure on this, like you guys can see this flap is like, oh my god, you guys, every time I hear the doorbell, my like heart sinks because I'm not used to people coming by my house, but or at least using the doorbell. Anyways. Oh my god, okay. Oh, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, but I have been experimenting a lot, and honestly it's really helped level up my care. Even if it's in like the slightest, like, oh right, I was saying my Hoya. So you guys can see that I just can't really like bend this. Before it wasn't like that. Like I could easily bend this, I could easily bend these up here, and just like even like this newer one, for a long time I could not bend this, and now I can definitely feel a little bit more rigidity in there, which I feel really, really happy about that. Like I feel really good and a lot more confident in my Hoya care now. So just like having the ability and the open-mindedness to want to experiment can definitely help you in your care techniques, which is something that I'm experiencing with this one as well. Again, like I said before, no drainage is not really a big thing for me with anthuriums, especially with my wavy no ID, just because I've noticed that they kind of just don't, I don't know. I just, one, I don't think I feel comfortable enough in no drainage, and just like, I don't know, honestly. I think that because of how wet the soil is kept, I just feel a lot more comfortable with having like some sort of aeration going on, so I try to like keep it with like a lot more drainage holes and stuff. But with this one, I've also experimented in that sense, and you guys can see getting some pretty good roots in my opinion, although I don't know why this one's growing upwards. It's really annoying. And then this one over here is growing downwards. But yeah, and with this one I've also sort of, again, I use a really chunky mix. Recently I've actually changed my soil mix a little bit, and I might even film a video on that, but we'll see. This is one of my favorite plants, I'd say, and one of the plants that I do want to see improve this year and just grow better and grow to what I know it could be. But yeah, enough about that one. All right, this is the last update that I'm gonna give y'all today, which is on my Splendid. It gave me a brand new leaf, which I am so excited for. This was a plant that I also included on my plant goals for 2024, and I want to again just push for that a little bit more, and kind of challenge myself in like growing my plants. I feel like in the last, like a year ago, I didn't feel very confident in my plant care and just was very kind of still learning, still applying things to my own care, and still kind of learning, like I said before. But now I feel like I've gathered so much knowledge that I sort of understand my plants on a certain level, and now, like, with my ability and my open-mindedness to sort of experiment a little bit, I've kind of leveled that up, I guess. Like, I've kind of learned a little bit more than, like, I've learned a little bit more, even though I felt like there wasn't really anything to learn. And so I'm really happy about that too. I'm really excited for this new Splendid leaf. It did get a little bit of damage near the tip. I think it just was struggling to unfurl and it kind of got stuck, so that's a little bit damaged, but that's okay. I honestly am just really excited and really happy to see this growing. All right, that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and just like, I hope you guys like sort of got inspired by this, because I feel like I definitely feel really good about where my plant space is right now, and like I feel good about the way that this year is starting, and I just hope that this year is filled with so much joy and happiness for you guys. And I hope that, you know, everything you are manifesting and hoping for within this year, I hope you get it and receive it in the best way possible. So yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I truly hope you enjoyed.